Dear friends, today we are going to tell you an incident which will entertain you and will not make you cry. This is an incident of a stepmother who threw her stepdaughter into the jungle so that the wild animals would eat her. But by the grace of God, a mute monkey raised her. Let's listen. A beautiful incident. There was a farmer in a village. He had been married for a long time. He was also a child. The farmer married again after a few months. After that, Allah gave him a daughter from his second wife. She looked like a fairy. She looked like a soft and gentle doll. The farmer thanked Allah for having such a beautiful daughter. That husband and wife were very happy with their daughter, and the farmer named his daughter with a lot of love. Now that farmer loved his second wife very much. But the farmer's first wife could not tolerate these things. She could not look at the farmer's daughter. When the child was a few months old, the farmer called her Baba. She started calling her Baba. The farmer's first wife had a snake on her chest. Similarly, she had become the enemy of the farmer's daughter. The fairy's mother worked all day at home. But the farmer's first wife used to work in the fields with the farmer. One day, the farmer's wife was going to pluck some vegetables from the fields. Then she thought that today the fairy is alone at home, because her mother had gone to the shop to buy some groceries. The farmer's first wife took advantage of this, and she took the fairy in her lap and took her to the fields. Now she started thinking, I will leave this girl in the fields and go, so that the wild animals, the cow in my life, get rid of this girl. Now she walked far beyond her fields into a forest, and she threw the child on the ground from her lap, and immediately she got ready to return. That cruel woman did not have any mercy in her heart, and she left from there. Now that innocent girl started roaming in the bushes. She could not walk so much now, because she was a very small girl. Dear friends say, neither a child is a king. Similarly, that innocent girl did not even know about her loss. At one time, she had been hurt on the head by a stone. Similarly, that girl slept in the same forest while crying. When that girl woke up, she started calling her father, Baba, Baba. And she did not feel hungry. And she started walking. While walking, she reached a dense forest, where on a tree, a monkey lived with her children. And on the other side of that tree, there was a small hut, in which an old man lived. At that time, that old man was far away. He had gone out to pray. And that monkey also lived with that Allah. But the little girl was still very small and she could not speak so much that the people of Allah began to think, I don't know whose little girl she is and where has she come from? Then the people of Allah began to take care of the little girl with love. The old man of Allah named the little girl because the little girl was white like cotton. Now the little girl used to come out of the hut and play with the children of that monkey every day. And that monkey used to take great care of the little girl in the morning and evening. That monkey used to take care of the people of Allah. Now she used to take great care of the little girl as well. Sometimes she used to give her fruits. Sometimes she used to give her cow's milk, because the people of Allah had also kept a cow. When the little girl was 6 years old, she began to call the old man of Allah Baba Baba. And she used to consider this monkey as her mother, because that little girl was raised in the children of those monkeys. When she used to pray, the little girl used to pray. When she used to read the Quran, she used to read the Quran. The people of Allah had raised that little girl very well. Now the little girl was 15 years old. She had become more beautiful than before. And the animals of the jungle, the birds and the monkeys were her friends. The monkey used to collect dry wood from the jungle and give it to her. And she used to cook food for herself and the monkey. One day, the old man of Allah began to say to her, Daughter, I have to go to another city for tablai. I have arranged everything for you in this hut. You do not need to go anywhere. And this monkey will be with you. I leave it for your protection. This monkey will bring you wood from the jungle and water from the river. You just cook food in this hut. Then the old man of Allah, Ujala, went away with love. And the monkey stayed in that hut. Now Ujala used to sit in the hut and worship like Allah. And the children of the monkey and the monkey sat around and listened to his recitation in the evening. When Ujala cooked food, it was time for prayer. As soon as she cooked food, Ujala began to pray. So a child of the monkey from behind spoiled all the food. When Ujala got free from prayer, she said to the child, You are very bad. You ate all the food. You ate alone. You did not care about others." Ujala slightly slapped him. Then the child of the monkey got angry. Then the child of the monkey threw water in the fire of the stove and put out the fire. Ujala saw all this and got worried. And she started thinking, "It is very difficult for me to light a fire. Now how will I light a fire?" Ujala spent the whole day thinking. She was also hungry. And the monkey and the rest of her children did not eat anything. Now the child of the monkey was very regretful. "Why did I put out the fire? That's why we all had to stay hungry." Ujala came out of the hut. She saw smoke rising outside the hut. So she followed the smoke. As she walked, she came to the raw hut from where the smoke was coming out. In that raw hut, a handful of Hindu old woman's milk was boiling. The old woman also had a son, who was very brave. As soon as he smelled the human, he knew immediately. When that old woman saw Ujala, she also got water in her mouth. And in her thoughts, Ujala started enjoying the food. And she started thinking, if only my son was present at home at this time, he would never let a human girl go. Now she made a plan. As long as my son does not come, I will put this girl in talks and keep her here. Then the old woman said to Ujala, "Come daughter, how did you come? Who are you? And where have you come from?" Ujala said, "I am my father's darling, who is very pious. Right now he has gone to the neighboring village for tablai. And I am alone at home." The naughty child of the monkey put out the fire from the stove. "You give me a little fire so that we can cook our food." The old woman said, "Daughter, you will get the fire. But in return, you have to do one thing for me. I am an old woman, and it is very difficult for me to do the housework. My son is coming, he must be very hungry. There is wheat on the other side. You grind it in a mill and make its flour." Ujala quickly ground the wheat. And she came to the old woman and said, "Amma, I have ground the flour. Now quickly give me fire so that I can go home." The old woman said, "My child, you are so good. And see how dirty my house is. And see, I don't have so much strength in my bones that I can work. You are so young." After cleaning my house a little, Ujala quickly grabbed a broom and cleaned the whole house. But the old woman was looking out again and again. And she was thinking in her heart, "After all, why is my son not coming home early today? I don't know why he is delaying today. And how many excuses will I put in front of this girl?" In the meantime, Ujala then came to the old woman and said, "Amma, I have done all the work in your house. Now give me fire so that I can go home." The old woman said, "My child, you have done all the work. Just do one more thing for me. Bring me some water from the well." Ujala quickly grabbed a pot and brought water from the river. Now she said to the old woman, "Amma, now I will go home, because I am very late." "If you don't give me fire," the old woman said, "what are you talking about? My child, you are very good. Take this fire and take it. And take a handful of wheat as well. Wherever you pass by, Ujala spread this wheat there." Then she did the same while walking. She came to the wheat spreader on the way. Now Ujala quickly lit the fire and cooked the food quickly. First of all, she fed the monkeys and her children. Then she herself ate the food. Ujala came home. It was a little late. Here the old woman's son came home. The old woman immediately started scolding her son and said, "Where did you go today? You took so long. Such a good prey had come to our house on its own. And because of you, I lost it. Now you can get the prey of that girl in the same way. Wherever these grains of wheat are scattered, you go behind them." Now the old woman's son started walking behind the grains of wheat. Those grains of wheat ended up near a tree. He ran here and there. Then he saw a hut. He knocked on the door of the hut loudly and said, "Open the door, daughter. I am your father, and see what I have brought for you." But Ujala slept after eating. She did not hear the sound of the door knocking. Now that man got very angry, and he started breaking the door with anger. But he failed, because the doors of that hut were made of iron bars. Even a finger of that man broke and got stuck in the bars of that iron. And that finger looked like a wild animal. Now he failed and left. In the morning, when Ujala opened the door of the hut, the finger of that man got stuck in Ujala's hand. Ujala started screaming in pain. Slowly, the poison of that nail spread all over Ujala's body. And she fell unconscious. And her children sat around her and started crying. Ujala sometimes massaged her head and sometimes massaged her feet. She did not wake up. In the meantime, some people came. One of them was the king and the rest were his ministers. The king went out to hunt. The king ordered his minister to set up a tent under the tree. When the king saw the tent, he told the minister to go inside and see how the king's minister went inside the hut, and as soon as the king came out, he asked what happened. He said that the door of the hut was already open and a very beautiful girl was lying unconscious next to the king. She was sitting next to the king and she was crying. The king was shocked to hear this and he wanted to go inside and see what was happening. The king ordered his minister to take the girl out of the hut. When the girl was taken out, the king saw the girl's navel. He realized that the girl's navel was moving and she was very beautiful. Then the king looked at the girl and saw a dangerous nail in her hand. As soon as the girl's nail was removed from her hand, the girl sat up and the king said, "I am the king of this country and I have saved your life." The king said, "Tell me who you are and why do you live here alone and what is your relationship with this monkey?" The girl said, "I am not alone. I am the daughter of an old man and this monkey is my childhood friend. My father has gone for tabli. He will be back soon." The king said, "You are more beautiful than the limit. If you want, I can take you to my palace and we will call your father there and we will also arrange a magnificent hut for this monkey. Just come with me." Because a girl living alone in the jungle was not a good idea. Ujala agreed. When the king and his companion reached the palace with the monkey, the king's mother said, "Son, how did you bring this girl here? People will talk like this. You do this, marry her and this girl will also be protected." Then in a few days the king married Ujala. Now Ujala had become the queen of the king. The king had a queen before her. The king loved Ujala very much. He used to take good care of her. He now took care of her. He had also given her a few kniij in which there was a big kniij which Ujala liked very much because that kniij used to love Ujala like a daughter. One day the old woman told Ujala, "Daughter, please be careful with your wife. She is very smart. She can harm you." Ujala said, "Aunt, she doesn't think like that. She considers me like a sister and she is also a queen. I am also a queen. So why will she get jealous of me, old woman?" Now Ujala used to come and go to her husband's room and used to talk to him. Ujala's wife was very sharp. She did not let her jealousy be expressed on him. One day she was standing near the pond on the other side of both the palaces with Ujala. She also had a monkey. Ujala's wife said, "Ujala, you are very beautiful and you have become more beautiful if you go close to the river and see in your shadow how beautiful you are." Ujala started walking with her wife. The monkey grabbed her by the collar and started pulling her as if she wanted to stop Ujala from going with her. But Roshni got angry at her. She shook the monkey and said, "If you have any problem, then leave me alone." Then Ujala started walking near the river. She was happy to see herself in the mirror. Ujala's wife pushed her into the water. Ujala could not swim. Ujala ran away from there and came to her room. When she came back, she started looking for Ujala. When she could not find Ujala, she came to her queen's room and asked, "Where is my Ujala? I think you have harmed her." The queen said, "I have not harmed her. I am sure this monkey has done something to Ujala, because this monkey was always with her." The king was very angry at the monkey and he told his minister to lock the monkey in a room. But the king was not at peace. He was looking for Ujala like a madman. The king did not eat or drink at all. One day, the king passed by the river bank. There was a sunflower in the river. When the king looked at the flower, he could see Ujala's face. When the king went near the flower bowed and greeted the king. The king asked the flower, "Why are you reminding me of my Ujala? She was as beautiful and delicate as you. I do not know where she has gone." Now the king sat near the river and talked to the flower. When the queen doubted this, she became jealous again. She called a slave and ordered him to cut the big flower in the river. When the king reached the river bank the next day, he could not see the flower because the flower gardener had thrown it away. But he had planted a plant from the same roots which had become a big tree and had small beautiful flowers on it. Then suddenly a big apple was planted on that tree, which was much bigger than ordinary apples. People came to see that apple from a distance, but no one could break it because it was planted in the area of the king. Here the farmer had thrown his first wife out of the house, and his wife had named her daughter with great love. So he used to cry every time in the memory now Allah had blessed him with a son, but he still missed his wife a lot. One day the farmer's wife was going to the fields and she got tired. So he thought of lying under this tree and resting for a while. He placed the basket in the farmer's wife's hand on one side and took it there. When she woke up, a big apple fell into the basket. When she woke up, she was worried. She thought to herself, what if someone sees that the apple fell into the basket and thinks of me as a thief and the king will imprison me? Now she thought of going home. She picked up the basket and covered it with her scarf and went home. She said to her husband, "Today I will tell you what I have got." The farmer's wife told the farmer everything and immediately removed the cloth from the basket, and the apple was not there. Instead, there was a little girl on the apple tree. The husband and wife were very happy, and the farmer's wife quickly took the girl out of the basket and said, "She is such a beautiful girl, I will definitely raise her." When he picked up the girl and made her sit in a place, she became a young girl and came out of the tablet of Allah. When he came to the hut, he saw that there was no light there. His monkeys were present like the old men of Allah. They started looking for their light in the whole jungle because they had raised their light with love and affection. But they could not find the light. The old man went to the king's palace in search of his daughter. When the king saw him, he immediately stood up and said, "O old man of Allah, tell me, how did you come to meet me?" The old man told him that he had left his daughter in the jungle in the protection of a monkey. He had gone for Tablai, but when he came back, his daughter was not there. The king was shocked when he heard this because he had found the light of Allah. When the king told his story to Allah, the people of Allah were surprised and said, "My daughter cannot die because I had taught her to protect herself and no evil power can harm her. Even if someone succeeds in harming her, my daughter will be saved in the form of a tree or in the form of a fruit because no one can kill my daughter unless Allah commands." The king then openly said to Allah, "She is my wife and I have made her my queen and now she is separated from me." Allah said to the king, "I don't know where, but she is my daughter. She was separated from her parents when she was young and now she is separated from her father and now she is separated from her husband." The king then gave a room to Allah where the people of Allah could sit and worship. The people of Allah looked to one side and there was a monkey and the people of Allah were crying. The people of Allah asked the king to free the monkey and the monkey pulled the king from his clothes and the king was angry at the monkey, but the people of Allah said, "The monkey is trying to tell you something." The monkey pulled the king from his clothes and took him to the door of the farmer. There was a well of water at the door of the farmer where a girl was filling water. The king looked at her and she looked like a light. When the king reached near the girl, she had gone inside the house, and when he opened the door, the king said, "The girl who has gone inside is my wife." The farmer's wife said, "How are you?" The king said, "We are poor people." "She is my daughter. How did your wife become the king?" The monkey immediately entered the farmer's house. When he went inside, he saw the light sitting in a room. He recognized the girl and hugged her and cried. The farmer's wife supported his mother. The story goes, "My mother used to work and my second mother used to work in the fields. One day my stepmother picked me up and threw me into the forest. She did not see me and she kept crying. She was hungry and thirsty. Then this monkey supported me and raised me like a mother. She fed me with flowers and my stomach was full. Then an old man and took me to his hut. He raised me like a father. This monkey was also the same old man. Now that old man must be looking for me because he left me at home and went to preach. I miss my father a lot. When there was an accident in the forest with me, the king's mother said, 'You are his queen and my daughter.' The farmer's wife hugged her and cried. She said, 'Mother, if the king finds out that I am an ordinary daughter of a farmer, will he make me his queen again?' She said so much that the door knocked. When the door was opened, it was the same old man. The king was also standing with him. When the king saw the old man, he ran away from the old man's heart and started crying. He said, 'Father, I miss you a lot. I cannot live without you.' The old man put his hand on his daughter's head with love and said, 'Daughters look good in the in-laws. Look, your king has come.' He came near Ujala and said, 'Look, my queen, I found you through your lovely monkey.' The king was very happy. Now he took Ujala and immediately reached the palace. And the first thing he did was to whip the queen as punishment and threw her out of the palace. And the king gave his wife a palace-like house.